In a small town wrapped in the warmth of golden sunlight, a girl named Mia sat on the bleachers, her laughter echoing across the field. It was the last day of school before summer break. Excitement filled the air. Children chased each other, teachers waved goodbye, and the world felt open. But as Mia sat surrounded by her friends, she spotted him, Oliver, the boy with thick glasses and a shy smile. He stood awkwardly at the edge of the field, fiddling with his glasses while the other kids played. Mia, with her radiant hair and a bubbly laugh, couldn't help herself. She leaned toward her friends, stifling a giggle. "Look at him," her words sliced through the cheerful sounds around her. A few of her friends laughed, but she noticed Oliver's face fall. He glanced away, the warmth fading from his cheeks like the sun slipping behind clouds. With a sense of power and attention, Mia thought nothing more of it. To her, it was just a joke, but for Oliver, it was more than that. Each laugh, each mocking glance felt like another layer of weight on his shoulders. As the school bell rang, shouts of jubilation filled the air, but Mia didn't see Oliver leave. She was too busy planning what adventures awaited her over the summer. If she had taken a moment, she might have noticed the lonely boy slipping into the shadows, clutching his backpack like a shield. The days turned into weeks, and summer days stretched long and lazy. Mia spent her time at the local pool, enjoying every splash and sunbeam. But one evening, as the sun kissed the horizon goodnight, she heard something strange while walking home. It was the sound of music tinkling like tiny bells. Curious, she followed the sound, winding her way through nearby streets. As she rounded a corner, she came upon an old, abandoned building. The doors were broken and the windows were clouded with grime, but what caught her eye was light. A soft glow seeped through a crack, and the music flowed from inside. Without thinking, she stepped closer, her heart racing with a mix of fear and intrigue. Mia peered through a broken window and gasped. Inside, the room was like a magical world filled with colorful lights, dancing shadows, and vivid murals splashed across the walls. Art everywhere. Colors swirling and shapes blending, each telling a story that murmured secrets. But one thing stood out most: a mural stretching across the far wall. In the center, there was a boy with glasses, standing tall and proud. It was Oliver, but this wasn't the awkward boy she had seen on the field. This boy looked strong, confident, and full of life. Intricate details showed the strength of his gaze, the unique shape of his glasses, everything, down to the way he held a paintbrush, ready to create. Mia's heartbeat quickened as she stepped back, stunned. What was this place? She stepped further inside, the air thick with the scent of paint and possibility. Suddenly, a voice echoed through the room. Mia whipped around, startled. There in the corner stood Oliver, his hands covered in paint, looking more alive than she had ever seen him. He looked different, not just in how he carried himself, but also in how he illuminated the dim space around him. Mia stammered, her usual confidence slipping away. "It's okay," Oliver replied, a hint of a smile playing on his lips. "I come here to paint and create." There was warmth in his words, an openness that surprised her. As she looked around again, she noticed sketches piled up, portraying worlds and characters straight from Oliver's imagination. She felt caught between admiration and guilt. Those stories he created, those visions, were a part of him. The boy she had laughed at was an artist in his own right. Oliver's face lit up, a soft blush creeping onto his cheeks. "Thanks, it's what I love to do." Realization hit Mia like a splash of cold water. Here was a boy she had dismissed so easily, and here he stood, revealing colors and dreams that had always been hidden behind his glasses. She felt a mix of shame and curiosity. Mia ventured, "Because people only see me for my glasses," he said, glancing down. "They don't look deeper." Mia swallowed hard, feeling a knot in her stomach. She could see the pain behind his words, the loneliness that still clung to him. I'm sorry," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. A moment stretched between them, heavy and full of unspoken feelings. Then Oliver smiled, which surprised Mia. "I used to be sad about different things." Mia felt an undeniable urge to connect, to understand. "Can I?" Oliver looked surprised, his brows raising slightly. "Yeah." A hesitation hovered in the air before Oliver's face broke into a wide grin. "That would be awesome." From that moment on, every evening transformed. Mia found herself alongside Oliver, exploring vibrant colors, learning about shadows, and mixing paint. Laughter replaced the silence. They shared tales and struggles, while Oliver shared stories behind each piece he created. Mia began seeing Oliver not just as the boy with glasses, but as a person, a talented artist with a heart. And Oliver, in return, saw past Mia's laughter, recognizing her longing for acceptance and adventure. One night, while they were working on a mural of a fantastical forest, Mia pointed to a tree drawn in rich greens and browns. Oliver beamed, and together they splashed brilliant colors across the wall, it becoming a beautiful masterpiece born from their friendship. But as summer flowed towards its end, doubts crept back into Mia's mind. She was nervous about what would happen when school started again. Would things change? Would her friends still laugh? Would they remember how she had teased Oliver? On the last day of summer, the two of them stood in front of the mural, stepping back to admire their work. The colors popped against the wall, vibrant and alive. "Mia," Oliver said, breaking the silence, "I really appreciate you being here." Emotions flooded through her. "You're so talented, I wish I could show everyone." "I don't think they will," he said quietly, looking away, apprehension lurking in his gaze. Before she could say more, the air grew heavy with tension. Mia felt helpless. She wanted Oliver to know he was more than just a boy with glasses. He was a masterpiece himself. As the sun dipped lower in the sky, she had an idea. Oliver exclaimed, his eyes widening. An exhibition. For your art, let's invite everyone. Panic flickered across his features. What if they laugh? With determination burning inside her, Mia set out to create a buzz. She told her friends, she posted on social media and made colorful flyers. Moments turned into days and the event began to take shape. Finally, the day arrived. The walls of the old building transformed into a gallery of color, culture, and creativity. Birds chirped overhead and Mia felt shaky but excited as people began to trickle in. Tension crackled in the atmosphere. She glanced over at Oliver, who stood nervously by the entrance, wringing his hands. "Hey," she said softly, stepping beside him, "you're ready for this?" Oliver nodded but didn't respond. He was too busy watching the crowd. Moments later, a group of kids that once mocked him approached, curiosity dancing in their eyes. Mia held her breath, waiting. The laughter, the judgment, the sneers all hung like shadows of their past, but as they shifted closer, one of the boys pointed at a painting. He exclaimed, grinning. Oliver's face lit up, a mix of shock and disbelief flooding over him. The group started complimenting other pieces, their voices bubbling with excitement. Mia felt a surge of warmth bubbling up her chest. She whispered, nudging him gently. As the event continued, people came, appreciating the colors and emotions splashed across the walls. Laughter filled the building, but this time it wasn't at Oliver, it was with him. In the corner, Mia noticed the same kids that once laughed at him now stood awestruck, staring, laughing, and sharing stories about the art. After a while, one of the girls approached Oliver again, this time her tone softer. "Can I get a picture with you?" Oliver blinked, stunned. "You're really asking to get a photo with him?" "Sure," he stammered. As she posed beside him, Mia smiled, her heart swelling with pride. Oliver was finally being seen not just for his glasses, not as the weird boy on the outskirts. People were embracing him for who he was, an artist, a creator. As the event wound down, the warmth of the golden sunset seeped through the windows, illuminating the space in soft hues. Oliver turned to Mia, tears shining in his eyes. "I can't believe it. They actually like it." With her heart in her throat, Mia hugged him tightly. In that moment, all the laughter and teasing faded into a distant memory. They had turned a painful chapter into a beautiful story. They stepped outside, bathed in the evening light, ready to face whatever came next together. In that small town, Oliver's signature was revealed in more ways than one. Not just on the walls around them, but on their hearts, forever painted in vibrant colors of friendship, understanding, and acceptance. Mia stood in the middle of the bustling school cafeteria, her laughter ringing like a silver bell above the usual chaos. It was a lively afternoon, trays clattering, friends sharing secrets, and the spirit of youth filling the air. But then she spotted him, Oliver hunched over a table in the far corner, thick glasses balancing precariously on his nose. She said, her voice dripping with playful scorn. Her friends erupted into giggles, casting glances at the boy who seemed to shrink under the weight of their mockery. The cigarette smoke of tears mixed with laughter in her lungs. Did they not see how he hid behind those glasses? Her words hung in the air, a sharp whisper robbing him of his dignity, transforming her amusement into a cruel weapon instead. Mia quickly dismissed the weight of her laughter, turning back to her friends, planning the rest of her afternoon. To her, it was just a joke, a funny quip, but for Oliver, each chuckle felt like a stone dropped onto the fragile scale of his self-esteem. As he gathered his tray and made a beeline for the trash, the light in his eyes dulled, blending seamlessly into the drab gray walls around him. Days drifted into weeks as summer approached. The school bell rang one last time, signaling the end of the year. Kids darted toward freedom, but Mia remained trapped in her world of fleeting fun, unaware of the impact she left behind. One warm day, as she rolled her bike past the dilapidated old community center, something unusual pierced the familiar landscape. Sound a rhythm, vibrant and energetic, like music spilling into life. Curiosity tugged at her, drawing her to the weather-beaten door that creaked on rusty hinges. Peeking inside, she was greeted by a kaleidoscope of colors. The space was alive. It looked like a party exploded within those walls. Bright graffiti splashed across the surfaces as young artists poured their heart into vibrant murals. Electric shades of pink, blue, and yellow danced in front of her eyes, animated shapes telling stories of dreams and fears. "Mia," a voice suddenly sang from behind. She turned, her pulse quickening. It was Oliver, a paintbrush thrust in his hand, eyes sparkling like the colors that enveloped him. This was not the same boy on the lunchroom corner. He was different here, alive in every sense of the word. "You," she stammered, disbelief tugging at her. His laughter transformed the room. "Yeah, I come here to paint and create." The question slipped out before she could think. "I think you could bring something special to it," he said, a gentle smile playing on his lips. Unsure but intrigued, Mia felt the spark of challenge flicker in her chest. She hesitated at first, but then stepped inside, breaking the shadowy power her past laughter had held over him. The wall was like a blank canvas, waiting not just for paint, but for passion, emotion, and all those unspoken words. The days following that moment were transformative. Mia found herself returning evening after evening, Sweat dripped from her forehead as they painted together, laughter stitching them together like vibrant threads. Oliver revealed more about his art, each stroke bursting with vulnerability. Colors became stories, and soon Mia added her own flair, bridging their experiences through paint. But little did she know, Oliver's creations were not just mere strokes on a wall, they were an escape, a refuge from the world's judgment. He would often pause, tilting his head as if weighing infinity on his shoulders. He'd say, in those moments she could see the storm inside him, battling between isolation and the desire to connect. As summer danced on, Mia felt a fierce sense of pride watching their creations flourish. The mural began to take shape, a vibrant forest full of life and color, glowing with possibility. But underneath the surface, tension festered. Mia felt anxious about what would happen when school resumed. She worried about returning to normal, where her friends might laugh at their collaboration or, even worse, at Oliver again. Then one evening, a remarkable idea sparked in Mia's mind: an exhibition. "We should show everyone," she blurted out, excitement coursing through her veins. Oliver's voice had softened, almost a whisper. "They will love it, I will make sure of it." The confidence in her voice surged as she imagined a room full of admiration, not mockery. So she set to work, drawing in everyone from her friends to strangers in the community. Flyers featuring bits of their mural, teasing the vibrant colors and fantastical elements, began to spread like wildfire. Excitement grew amongst the people. Perhaps they would finally see Oliver through a different lens. Days turned into nights, and the exhibition day loomed closer. Yet anxiety lingered in the air like smoke. Mia could sense it from Oliver as he nervously checked his art, his usual confidence giving way to uncertainty. The day finally arrived, and Mia felt a bubbling mix of hope and terror. As they set up, the old community center pulsed with expectancy. Each mural told 10 stories, and whispers filled the room like sparks set to ignite. Oliver stood near the entrance, his hands trembling as he watched the crowd filter in. Mia stepped up to him, squeezing his shoulder. "You've got this." With hesitant steps, the crowd moved through the gallery of vibrant colors and emotions, murmuring as they took in what the walls held. Faces filled with awe replaced the kind that once laughed. A girl exclaimed, her eyes wide, pointing at a painting of a fox woven into a tapestry of stars. Oliver watched as smiles bloomed all around him. The laughter, once shaped by cruelty, transformed into joy, connecting people through stories woven into every stroke. Mia felt a sense of relief wash over them. Happiness fizzed in the corners of her dreams. After hours of painting, the admiration felt tangible, not just for the art, but for Oliver too. Then came the pivotal moment. A group of familiar faces huddled in the corner, glancing between each other and their artwork, all lingering on their features. Mia held her breath, waiting. Would they remember their jeers? To her astonishment, one boy stepped forward. He asked Oliver, his tone sincere, free from judgment. Oliver blinked, shock only momentarily stealing his words. Mia grinned behind them, the knot of anxiety loosening in her chest. Soon the walls were adorned not only with masterpieces, but with the camaraderie of a community that had once dismissed Oliver. Laughter filled the room again, but this time it blended with appreciation. As the sun dipped low, casting warm hues across the old center, Mia felt an unexpected wave of emotion wash over her. She had been so quick to laugh, to judge, and the depth of her realization hit her like a wave pounding against the shore. "I'm sorry, Oliver," she found herself saying. A soft smile crept across Oliver's face as he took a step closer, understanding glowing in his eyes. "It's okay." As the night waned and people began to trickle out, Oliver turned to Mia, a soft blush tinting his cheeks. Mia insisted, her heart swelling with pride. "The world is finally seeing your art." And just like that, the remnants of summer began to weave into a new tapestry, one painted with acceptance, friendship, and power. Through the laughter that once concealed his pain, Oliver emerged brighter, bolder, and more beautiful than life itself. They stood in front of their masterpiece, the walls around them at last a reflection of the truth, the duality of their lives intertwined like colors on the canvas. Mia felt the energy crackle like fireflies in the night, a joyous celebration of two souls once lost but now found. In that crowded room, a signature was revealed on a wall once forgotten, now a testament to resilience. And it marked the beginning of visibility, connection, and a deeper understanding that transcended the thickness of glasses or the weight of laughter. Together, they painted not just a mural but a masterpiece of belonging, where every stroke resonated with the power to change the very fabric of their worlds. And that journey was just beginning. Mia stood in front of the mirror, adjusting her new dress for the school spring dance, when she received a text that made her laugh out loud. Her friend Jess had sent a picture of Oliver standing in the corner of the school hallway with his oversized glasses slipping down his nose. Mia texted back, sending a flurry of laughing emojis. For the past few weeks, they'd all been joking about him, the way he shuffled through the halls, practically disappearing into the walls with his quiet demeanor. But her laughter faded as she thought about how he had looked that day. He wore a threadbare sweatshirt and jeans that didn't quite fit. Awkward, she thought, a cruel smile creeping onto her face before she swiftly shook it off and returned to her preparations. That afternoon, while Mia and Jess walked into the gym, decorated with sparkling lights and colorful streamers, Mia spotted Oliver. He had taken a seat next to a wall, a book in his lap, glasses glinting under the lights. Her laughter bubbled to the surface again, lips curving into a mischievous grin. She leaned in closer to Jess. As Mia leaned in closer, she caught a glimpse of the world through Oliver's eyes. The laughter and chatter from her peers melded into a single overwhelming buzz, while Oliver sat apart, seemingly engulfed by an invisible barrier. His fingers drummed nervously against the pages of his book, and Mia felt a flicker of guilt. Was she really as cruel as the whispers surrounding him? Before she could think, the words burst out. The laughter that followed felt lighter this time, almost hesitant. But in that moment, Mia put aside her guilt for the thrill of belonging, opening the door to an unkind ritual. Days passed, submerged in friendships and laughter. Oliver remained the invisible companion, quiet, elusive. He often sat alone during lunch, poring over his sketches, lost in a world of creativity, while Mia and her friends thrived in theirs. Yet with every passing day, her relentless laughter seeped into a growing weight upon her heart, an anchor she could not pull free from. Then came the day that changed everything. It was a Saturday morning, and Mia strolled through town, her mind buzzing with excitement about an upcoming vacation. As she turned the corner, she noticed something strange. The walls of the old community center were alive with color. Curiosity compelled her forward. She pushed open the creaky door, revealing a magical world bursting with vibrancy. Young artists of all ages adorned the walls with breathtaking murals of fantastical creatures and landscapes. It was a sanctuary of creativity. As she stepped deeper inside, Mia noticed a huge mural taking shape. Her breath caught in her throat. There, mixing colors and visions, was Oliver. He was no longer just the boy from school. He was an artist alive, vibrant, and filled with purpose. She asked, both astonished and intrigued, his face flushed with surprise. The words flowed with passion, each syllable a testament to his hidden dreams. Mia's laughter was silenced, replaced by a kaleidoscope of emotions. Oliver explained how the colors expressed not only his imagination but also the struggles he faced. The joy of creation mixed with the pain of feeling invisible. She stood there, suddenly aware of the depth hidden behind those glasses. "I never knew," she murmured, the weight of her past laughter crashing down upon her. "Most people don't," he replied, his voice steady. From that moment, a bond began to form. Mia found herself returning day after day. They mixed paints, shared stories about their lives, and clashed colors like emotions spilling from their hearts. The once judgmental laughter faded, replaced by a connection that felt as freeing as a bird taking flight. In the evenings, the pair would step back to admire their mural, which developed into a vibrant tapestry of creatures dancing under a hypnotic sunset. Mia could feel the electricity in the air as they painted together, the rhythms of laughter and chatter suffusing the once bleak community center. As Mia painted, she often flicked glances at Oliver. A quiet confidence began to bloom within him, transforming their conversations from timid whispers into animated exchanges, filled with laughter and excitement. Yet a nagging fear lingered within her. What would happen once summer ended? Would she slip back into her old ways, into a world where laughter could again be a weapon? The exhibition day approached, and Mia felt butterflies fluttering within her. It was time to show the world Oliver's art, but she couldn't shake the anxiety gnawing at her. Would her friends laugh at him again? She wondered, but she quickly brushed the thought away. Determined to put aside her fears, Mia reached out to her classmates and neighbors, sharing the story of Oliver and their vibrant mural, inviting them all to see the beauty they created together. As the day arrived, the old building pulsed with anticipation, filled with laughter and excitement. The warm glow of fairy lights twinkled against the backdrop of creativity as people wandered through, eyes tracing the colorful stories sprawled across the walls. Mia watched, heart pounding. Would they see Oliver for who he truly was? Then amidst the crowd, a familiar face appeared. Jess and her friends stepped forward, glancing at the art, their expressions shifting between surprise and curiosity. At that moment, Mia's heart fluttered in her chest as she realized this was Oliver's chance. Jess exclaimed, pointing at a mural that depicted an ethereal landscape bursting with colors. Mia held her breath, her heart a chaotic mix of hope and dread. Would they turn their laughter into admiration, or would old habits surface? One of the boys from school approached Oliver, who stood nervously near the entrance. He asked, his tone genuine. Oliver blinked, shock crossing his face. "Sure," he said slowly, a shy smile beginning to emerge. As the kids gathered, their excitement infectious, Mia felt a warmth flood her heart. Joy erupted, laughter intertwining with appreciation, wrapping Oliver in a cocoon of acceptance. This time it was different. They were marveling at his creations, not judging him. For the next few hours, people came and went, complimenting the artwork, their eyes shining with admiration. Mia watched as more and more people approached Oliver, asking questions, seeking his input on the murals. All those things she once laughed at now transformed into connections. Then came the moment Mia had both dreaded and hoped for. A group of classmates, the very same who had laughed at Oliver, gathered before the mural. They whispered among themselves, glancing at the wall, then back at him. A silence fell over the room, thundering in Mia's ears. They approached Oliver, curiosity lighting their faces. One of them asked, incredulity dancing in their eyes. Mia's heart vaulted in her chest. Oliver replied, more confident now, stepping into the frame beside them. Laughter bubbled up again, but this time it was mixed with something golden acceptance. As the night wore on, Mia felt the weight in her chest lift. Oliver's signature adorned the walls, not just an artist's name but a testament to struggle, resilience, and finally, belonging. The invisible barriers that had once separated him from the world crumbled, revealing a young man filled with creativity and passion. Stepping back to witness the transformation around them, Mia turned to Oliver, the edges of her heart shimmering with gratitude and pride. You did it, they see you now. I can't believe it, he replied, a smile breaking across his face, his eyes sparkling under the warm glow of the lights. In that moment, they both realized the power of community and acceptance, woven together through shared stories and shared art. As the final guests began to leave, Mia and Oliver stood alone in front of their colorful creation. The vibrant colors shimmered against the wall, telling tales of friendship, laughter, and discovery. The confession slipped out, heavy with sincerity. I didn't see you, Oliver's expression softened. It's okay. I think we all have those moments. In that instant, surrounded by swirling colors and the hum of memory, Mia realized that their stories were now stitched into the fabric of each other's lives. No longer defined by laughter or judgment, they had rewritten their narratives, filling the pages with understanding and acceptance. From that day forward, Mia vowed to carry the lessons learned deep within her heart. As for Oliver, he continued to paint furiously, not just as a talent hidden behind glasses, but as an artist who had found his voice a voice welcomed by many. Together, they transformed a simple school dance into a vivid story of connection, creativity, and redemption. In a world where laughter once carried a sharp edge, it now ushered in bright echoes of belonging, forever coloring their lives and those around them. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead as Mia strolled through the crowded school halls, the noise of laughter and chatter swirling around her like a comfortable blanket. She was in the heart of her social circle, full of friends who built her up like a tower of cards, thrilling on the edge of collapse. It was a stark contrast to the lonely figure hunched over in the far corner of the cafeteria. Look at Oliver, she whispered to Jess, nudging her friend. She couldn't help herself, the chuckle that escaped her lips felt genuine, even if it cut deeper. Mia's laughter bounced off the walls, mingling with the chaos of clattering trays and joyful voices. But when she glanced back at Oliver, his head was down, hiding behind a curtain of unruly hair and the thick, round frames that sat awkwardly on his nose. He clutched a plastic lunch tray, lost in the pages of a book. In that moment, it felt like a breeze blowing through the darkened corners of the room. He's been in the same spot for weeks, Jess added, her tone dripping with mockery. They both burst into giggles. To Mia, the humor felt innocent, a way to bond with her friends. But to Oliver, it was a piercing reminder of the invisible barrier that surrounded him, trapping him in his own world. Days rolled on, and with them came a familiar routine where laughter was laced with ridicule. The slight snickers exchanged among her friends became a fixture in Mia's life. They'd point out Oliver's peculiarities, his oversized glasses, or the way he walked with his head down as if he were carrying the weight of the universe. But deep inside, beneath the surface of the confident laughter, a twinge of guilt knotted in her stomach. Why was it so amusing to mock someone whose only crime was being himself? She brushed those thoughts aside, burying them under the exhilaration of social dynamics and teenage life. As spring began to unfurl its colorful petals, the town buzzed with energy. The local art festival was just around the corner. Mia felt exhilarated, dreaming of how she would flaunt her new dress and dance among friends. But on that fateful evening, something unexpected snatched her attention. While exploring the familiar streets of their small town, her path veered toward the old community center. Curiosity got the better of her, pulling her closer to the graffitied walls that beckoned like distant stars in the night sky. She edged inside, where the air buzzed with creativity. Young artists filled the space, painting bright murals that breathed life into the cracked walls. It felt like discovering a hidden treasure. Time slipped by as she wandered, absorbing the magic around her. That's when she saw him, Oliver, standing next to a colossal painting that stretched across an entire wall. He was splattered with paint, eyes illuminated with passion, a far cry from the shy boy she'd once derided. Her mouth dropped open, disbelief coursing through her. The question escaped her lips, tinged with surprise, admiration creeping in like dawn breaking over a horizon. I come here to create, he answered, his confidence vibrant against the quiet chaos of the room. Mia stood frozen, caught off guard by the transformation in front of her. The boy she had laughed at was now a beacon of talent. His brush danced across the canvas, swirling vibrant colors into compositions that pulsed with emotion. In his eyes, she saw depth and passion, a force of nature she had dismissed without a second thought. I didn't know you could paint like this, she murmured, the weight of her earlier mockery crashing into her conscience. It felt as though she had turned a corner. The world around her shimmered with illumination and hope. Oliver looked at her, and instead of the bitterness she expected, he smiled, a soft acknowledgement that revealed a kindred spirit buried under layers of hurt. Most people don't see it. In that moment, a different kind of connection began to form. Mia no longer saw Oliver as the target of her laughter, but as a partner in creativity. She hesitated, but something inside her urged her forward. She barely recognized her own voice, filled with sincerity and eagerness. To her surprise, Oliver's expression brightened. Sure, as the days unfolded like pages in an adventure novel, Mia found herself rushing to the community center after school, lost in the world of colors and dreams. Each brushstroke felt like a release, a way to shake off the self-imposed shackles that had bound her. They painted together, mixing colors and sharing stories, slowly peeling away the layers of doubt and disbelief that had formed around Oliver's spirit. Each mural told of their journey. Vibrant illustrations of fantastical creatures glowed warmly against the cold, cracked walls. For Mia, this was exhilarating, a culmination of friendship, vulnerability, and artistic expression. Yet every moment swirled with trepidation. It loomed like a cloud thickening as summer approached. What would happen when school resumed? Would Oliver be reduced to a punchline again? Would her friends ride the wave of humor, tossing her back into the tide of mockery? One evening, fueled by a mix of excitement and fear, Mia proposed something radical. Let's have an exhibition. We should show everyone your art. Oliver's eyes widened, glistening with uncertainty. But what if they laugh? No, this is not about them. She could feel the fire in her heart, igniting a longing to share the beauty they had crafted together. Gradually, her warmth became contagious. With determination, they began preparing for the exhibition, spreading the word through posters and social media, reaching out to classmates and community members. As the day approached, excitement and anxiety twisted together in Mia's mind like twinkling stars in the night sky. Would people see the value in Oliver's creations? Would they finally look past his glasses and find the artist that lay within? The exhibition day dawned clear and bright. The old community center buzzed with anticipation as people filtered in. Mia felt a rush of joy and dread, a roller coaster ride of emotions that danced in her chest. When the doors finally opened, the atmosphere transformed, filled with laughter and admiration. Her heart raced as guests took in the vibrant art. Oliver's murals sprang to life, weaving complex stories into a cohesive narrative. The colors looked more alive than ever, bursting forth like fireworks on a dark night. Jess exclaimed, her voice dripping with surprise as she pointed towards a painting where a mythical creature danced with fantastical colors. Mia felt euphoria spread through her. Gratitude illuminates the dark corners of her heart. For every embrace of admiration, she found a reflection of who Oliver really was. Time ticked on, and the gallery vibrated with laughter, the joy palpable as more and more people gathered around, admiring the talent before them. Mia watched in awe as her friends engaged with Oliver, asking questions about his art, genuinely interested in his thoughts and techniques. It melted away the memories of laughter steeped in cruelty, leaving only acceptance in its place. Then came the moment she had both feared and anticipated. A group of familiar faces emerged from the crowd, eyes wide with surprise. They approached Oliver, hesitating at first, but something had shifted. One of them asked tentatively, their tone light and earnest. Oliver, taken aback, blinked in disbelief. For the first time, Mia saw him step into the light, shedding the layers of self-doubt that had cloaked him for so long. As they gathered around him, laughter echoed through the building, not in mockery, but in celebration. It was a wave of acceptance and joy, wrapping Oliver in a warm embrace. No more hiding behind glasses, he had stepped into the spotlight, unveiled as the artist he was meant to be. Amidst the colorful murals and cheerful commotion, Mia turned to Oliver, an overwhelming surge of pride swelling within her. "You did it," he breathed, his eyes sparkling with wonder. In that moment, all the past laughter, the insecurities, and the invisible walls amassed into something larger, an understanding that transcended judgment. They had painted a new reality, not just on the walls before them, but in their hearts. As the night wound down, people filtered out, voices trailing softly into the evening air. Mia and Oliver stood in front of their mural, awe soaking in around them. "Thank you," Oliver said, hands trembling slightly as he gestured toward the vibrant colors around them, "for believing in me." The words hung heavy in the air, thrumming through Mia's heart. "No, thank you for showing me what it means to be brave," she replied, her voice thick with emotion. As they shared a moment of understanding, the first chapter of a new story began to unfold, no longer defined by ridicule, but painted with friendship, acceptance, and the power of creativity. In that community center, one shining truth emerged. Laughter could elevate, uplift, and unite, turning once shared moments of mockery into a celebration of depth and connection. The journey had only begun, but together they had transformed a murky past into a brilliant future, where every stroke of the brush whispered tales of courage, resilience, and the profound beauty found in friendship. The laughter echoed through the crowded high school hallway as Mia leaned against her locker, scanning the faces of her friends, feeling the weight of summer joy in the air. But then her gaze landed on him, Oliver. in his usual spot at the far end of the corridor, his oversized glasses slipping down his nose, eyes absorbed in a book that looked way too heavy for a Friday afternoon. She whispered to Jess, her voice drenched with playful mockery. Mia giggled and Jess joined in, sharing a quick glance that spoke volumes. Everyone else was laughing, so why shouldn't they? But the laughter felt sharp as it cut through the air, slicing into Oliver without a hint of remorse. He glanced up at them briefly, and for a split second, Mia saw a flicker of something in his eyes. Was it loss, guilt, or just the resignation of someone invisible? Before she could dwell on it, Mia turned back to her friends, the sound of their laughter drowning out Oliver's wounded expression. Yet beneath her carefree facade, a whisper of doubt began to gnaw at her. Was she really that cruel? Days turned into weeks, and summer brought a fleeting sense of freedom. Yet at the back of Mia's mind, Oliver remained that solitary figure. While her world pulsed with excitement, friendship, and splashes of laughter, he remained a shadow lurking in the corners of their lives. One fateful day, as the air hummed with the scent of blooming flowers, Mia stumbled upon the old community center while riding her bike. The crumbling brick walls were alive with color, vibrant murals swirling over the surface, each telling tales of dreams, hopes, and struggles. Curiosity pulled her in. The moment she stepped inside, she was met with a riot of hues, energy crackling in the air. Artists of all ages worked fervently, laughter and chatter replacing the stark silence of the outside world. In the center, she caught sight of a mural sprawling over a large wall. Her heart raced as she took in the sight. Their paintbrush in hand was Oliver. He had transformed entirely, splattered with various colors, his face alight with inspiration. For a fleeting moment, she didn't recognize him. This boy who once seemed so lost now stood as a creator, vibrant and full of life. She asked, disbelief crashing over her. He turned to her, surprise flickering in his eyes. "I come here to express myself," he replied, his voice steady and confident. Mia felt her heart flutter, a rush of guilt flooding back. She stood rooted to the spot, realizing how little she had known about him. "I had no idea you could paint like this," she admitted, taking a step forward, her eyes wide with admiration. "The world only sees the glasses," he said quietly, glancing at his own reflection in the paint-splattered window. In that instant, the weight of their previous conversations hung heavy in the air. Mia could feel the walls of judgment beginning to crumble around her. As they talked, the connections grew, the threads of understanding weaving their way back and forth. Mia blurted out, her voice shaky but earnest. Oliver's face lit up with a smile, a spark igniting between them. As weeks passed, Mia found herself lost in the world of swirling colors and paint-splattered walls. With each session, they created vivid murals together, transforming the once dull community center into a beacon of creativity. Mia watched as Oliver's confidence blossomed like wildflowers in spring. The timid boy she once mocked now filled with purpose and passion. The pieces they painted told stories of hope, dreams, and the complexities of youth. Herself and Oliver shared laughter, fears, and aspirations. He opened up about the struggles of fitting in, and she revealed her insecurities about the constant pressure to be liked. There was a symbiosis in their creative process that fueled them both. Yet as summer rolled into its final stretch, a shadow loomed on Mia's heart. What would happen when school started again? Would she slip back into the familiar routine of laughter at Oliver's expense? Would the judgment return, solidifying the cracks they had worked so hard to mend? One evening, just as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky with brilliant hues, Mia gathered her courage and proposed an exhibition. "Oliver, let's showcase your art," his brow furrowed, uncertainty flickering in his eyes. "No," the conviction in her voice rang clear, and Oliver couldn't help but feel a measure of hope swell within him. Gradually, excitement took over. They spent every evening preparing for the exhibition, inviting friends, classmates, and family. They plastered colorful posters around town, teasing the vibrant art that awaited discovery. Finally, the day arrived. The air buzzed with anticipation as people gathered outside the old community center. Mia felt a rush of adrenaline course through her veins, excitement and anxiety swirling inside her as she caught sight of the familiar faces stepping through the door. As the guests began to wander, gasps escaped lips, eyes widening in awe at the masterpieces adorning the walls. Mia felt warmth radiate through her as she watched their reactions unfold. This was about Oliver, a chance to celebrate his art and voice, to elevate his identity beyond the laughter of teenage cruelty. Little by little, the crowd grew. Mia weaved through the guests with a sense of pride swelling in her chest as she observed the joy radiating from Oliver. Laughter transformed from a weapon of ridicule into a chorus of acceptance. Then within the lively commotion, Mia noticed the group of familiar faces, the same friends who once snickered at Oliver. They seemed intrigued, examining the vibrant artwork with genuine curiosity. One of them said, pointing toward a mural of a majestic phoenix rising, rich in reds and golds. "I think it's Oliver," another friend replied, eyes sparkling with surprise. Mia felt her heart race. It was happening. People were learning to see him for who he truly was. Then, cornered by the gathering crowd, Mia approached Oliver, her throat tight with hope. Oliver looked stunned, disbelief etched across his features. Yes, it's incredible, she urged, her enthusiasm like fire igniting his spirit. As they figured out their next moves together, Mia felt a wave of acceptance pulsate through Oliver. Before she knew it, people began asking him questions, wanting to know about his process and inspirations. For once, Oliver was truly present, sharing his gift with others. But the moment Mia had both anticipated and dreaded arrived. A few classmates, those same faces that once conjured ridicule, approached Oliver with curiosity sparkling in their eyes. "Hey, Oliver," one of them asked, the tone light and open. Mia's heart raced. Would they mock him again? Would they stir up the past? But this time there was a sense of genuine interest from them. Sure," Oliver squeaked, blinking in surprise. As the group gathered around him, laughter filled the air, not the sharp mockery Mia had grown accustomed to, but honest joy. It was a moment of recognition. His artwork created a bridge between them, transforming the conversation from judgment to appreciation. In that moment, a tide of relief washed over Mia. She realized that laughter had the power to uplift too, and perhaps the shadows of Oliver's past were finally receding. As the evening flowed on and guests began to mingle, Mia struck up conversation with a few newcomers. Then she saw Oliver stepping back from the crowd, the joy balancing on the precipice of uncertainty. She approached him, her heart bubbling with warmth. "You did it, Oliver. They're seeing you for who you really are." His eyes glistened, surprise mixed with gratitude. "I can't believe it. They do." As they stood together in front of their masterpiece, the vibrant colors shimmering in the soft glow of the evening, both their eyes sparkled. This journey of connection and courage had not just unveiled a part of Oliver, it had transformed Mia away from mockery and into someone who embraced the beauty of individuality. The night ultimately unfolded into a celebration, a tapestry of colors woven together through experience, vulnerability, and acceptance. They painted not just a mural but a bright future, where every brushstroke told a story, echoing the beauty of transformation. In that moment, surrounded by their uplifting creations, Mia and Oliver realized the power of community, how it could rewrite stories, change perceptions, and unveil truths hidden under layers of laughter, fear, and judgment. Together, they took a stand not just against the taunts that had once defined them, but for who they had become, an artist creating a legacy and a friend discovering the strength within. In a world where laughter once held a sharp edge, they reshaped it into something warm, allowing it to bind them together, illuminating the path toward acceptance, one mural at a time. Mia stood in the bustling hallway of Lincoln High School, laughter bubbling up inside her like soda fizzing in a shaken can. All around her, students chatted and joked, but her focus zeroed in on a familiar figure at the far end of the corridor. Oliver. The long-haired boy with oversized glasses that made him look like he'd just stepped out of a sci-fi movie. He was hunched over, scribbling in a sketchbook, as if the world didn't exist around him. "Look at that nerd," she said, her voice low but laced with humor. Her friend Jess snickered beside her, instantly capturing the attention of their group. Just then, Mia caught Oliver's eye. For that brief second, their worlds collided. She saw his face fall, a flicker of hurt piercing through the boyish bravado he tried to hold. But the warmth of camaraderie and laughter quickly pulled her back in. The moment passed and she pivoted away, eager to join her friends in their jokes. Days turned into weeks and Mia's laughter continued to echo through those halls, always at Oliver's expense. On the surface, it felt innocent, just playful teasing. To her, he was background noise, someone who didn't fit into the vibrant tapestry of her life. But then one Saturday morning, everything changed. Mia was biking through town when she stumbled upon the old community center, a place that had been closed for years. She felt a strange pull urging her inside. She parked her bike, pushed through the heavy door, and stopped in her tracks. The once dilapidated building was bursting with color. Murals decorated every wall, each one alive with stories and emotions. The smell of paint hung in the air, thick and intoxicating. Young artists moved about passionately, transforming the dreary space into a canvas of dreams. And right in the center, painting with bold strokes and vibrant colors, was Oliver. Mia asked, her voice a mixture of surprise and intrigue. Oliver looked up, an eye-catching swirl of paint across his cheek. "I come here to express myself," he said, that quiet confidence pulsing from him in waves. The boy she had dismissed so many times was now articulate and passionate, filled with a fire Mia had never seen before. The artist in him emerged effortlessly, pouring colors onto the canvas like he was crafting his own reality. "I didn't know you could paint," she confessed, stepping closer, drawn into the warmth of this newfound connection. "It's what I love," he replied simply, his eyes shining with creativity. "People don't see the real me." In that moment, something shifted inside Mia. The weight of her previous laughter hung heavily in the air. She had laughed at the very surface of who he was, but now she saw the depth beneath. Anything but a punchline, Oliver was alive, his passion radiant and intoxicating. The words slipped out before she had time to think. Oliver smiled, clearly taken aback. Of course, from that day on, Mia found herself returning to the community center. Each evening, she would dive into a world of color alongside Oliver, mixing paints and swapping stories. Here, laughter no longer felt like a weapon. It was a bond between two friends discovering shared dreams. As they painted, their canvases transformed, blossoming into murals filled with magical creatures and wild landscapes. They laughed together, built each other up, and learned to trust one another in ways richer than any superficial friendship. For Oliver, each brushstroke was a step toward revealing the hidden depths of his soul, while Mia learned to appreciate the beauty in vulnerability. Yet as summer days began to wind down, a storm of anxiety loomed over Mia's heart. What would happen when they returned to school? Would she slip back into those cruel, laughter-fueled habits? Would she abandon Oliver out of fear? One blistering evening, as the sunset painted the sky burnt orange, she gathered her courage and threw out an idea. What if we have an exhibition to showcase your art? Oliver shifted uneasily, the confidence slowly waning. But what if they laugh? They won't. I promise, Mia insisted, determination surging through her. You deserve this chance. Gradually, her faith wove its way into Oliver's heart, and they began preparing for the exhibition. Together, they flooded social media with colorful teasers about the event, plastered vibrant flyers across the school, and reached out to classmates, friends, and family for support. The big day finally arrived, and the community center pulsed with excitement. People flooded in, curiosity lighting their eyes. Mia's heart raced. She glanced at Oliver, who stood nervously by the entrance, gaze darting between the visitors and their artwork. As guests began to filter through, awe spilled over the room like spilled paint. Eyes widened, smiles grew, and murmurs of admiration rippled through the crowd. Mia felt warmth lifting her heart. This was happening. A voice broke through the buzz as Jess pointed at a mural depicting a phoenix rising from the ashes. Mia felt pride welling up inside her, like a wave crashing against the grains of sand. Yes, all at once, a group of students that once made jokes gathered near the mural, their faces lit with wonder. Every compliment was a stroke against the sharp edges of the past. They asked Oliver questions, curious about his process. Mia could hardly believe her eyes. The acceptance she had longed for weighed heavy with reality. One of them finally asked, a genuine smile spreading on their face. Oliver blinked, eyes wide with disbelief. He answered, a hint of laughter creeping into his voice, a sense of joy sparkling behind his glasses. As the group gathered around him, Oliver beamed, confidence soaring. For the first time, laughter enveloped him like a warm embrace, celebrating who he truly was, not who he appeared to be. Mia leaned back, soaking in the scene, the laughter now interwoven with acceptance not sharp, but soft and uplifting. In this moment, Oliver had transformed into the heart of the night, finally allowing himself to be seen and celebrated, breaking free from years of isolation. Time flew by, and conversations blended into a rich symphony of voices filled with excitement and warmth. As clock hands crept toward the end of the evening, Mia stepped aside for a moment, her mind racing, reflecting on the journey that had brought them both here. She approached Oliver, the vibrant colors of their work illuminating the fading light. Look at all of this. His gaze fell to the floor for a moment before lifting back to meet hers. I can hardly believe it. No, you were never invisible. I was, Mia confessed, her voice steady. With that admission, a deeper understanding settled between them. They were both figuring it out, how to embrace our true selves in a world that often demanded conformity. As the last guests trickled out, Mia and Oliver stood in front of their mural, the colors swirling and dancing, creating a story far richer than they had ever imagined. Thank you for believing in me, Oliver said, tears glistening in the corners of his eyes. Mia felt a rush of warmth, the weight of those past moments lifting away like clouds dispersing in the sun. In that instant, they understood the power of creativity to connect, uplift, and transform lives. They had taken something that divided them, laughter that could hurt, and turned it into a celebration of acceptance and friendship. As the night deepened, the world outside faded into the background, but the vibrancy of their mural remained alive, echoing their journey from judgment to understanding. Together, they had painted a new path, a future where laughter would bind them, where creativity would be a refuge and acceptance would flow freely. In that moment at the old community center lit with their art, Mia and Oliver learned what it meant to be truly seen and to celebrate not just the masterpiece on the wall, but the vibrant stories that each heart carried, ready to paint the world with a splash of understanding. The cafeteria buzzed like a beehive, filled with the sound of laughter and lively chatter. Students sprawled across tables, eager to fill their bellies and their social calendars. At one table, Mia sat surrounded by friends, her laughter ringing out above the din. She spotted him again, Oliver, hunched over in the corner, his thick glasses almost slipping off his face, buried deep in a book that looked way too big for him. Mia called out, her voice dripping with playful mockery. Her friends turned, giggling in solidarity as if they'd rehearsed it all before. Oliver looked up for just a moment, his big round eyes meeting hers, and in that brief glance, Mia saw something flicker, a mix of hurt and resignation. But as quickly as it came, he looked down again, hiding behind the safety of his pages. She continued, laughter bubbling up again. It felt light and innocent, just a fun jab, but even as she said it, a small knot twisted in her stomach. She pushed it aside, eager to stay in the moment. Days rolled on and summer edged closer, yet Oliver remained a constant in their laughter. He merely became background noise, someone who barely existed in the vibrant life Mia led. That gnawing feeling inside her lingered, but she figured it was just part of being a teenager. After all, nobody liked to admit their own insecurities by lifting someone else's spirits. Then came the warm Saturday morning when everything changed. As she rode her bike through familiar streets, she stumbled upon the old community center. Curiosity pulled her in, and she pushed the door open, the creak echoing in the dusty silence. What greeted her inside took her breath away. The once neglected building was bursting with color. Bright murals danced across the walls, created by young artists who were pouring their hearts into their work. She stepped deeper inside, where the air smelled of fresh paint and creativity hung thick like magic. And there he was again, Oliver, standing in the center of it all, covered in paint and glowing with inspiration, just like a bright sun. He wielded a paintbrush as if it were a wand, transforming the walls with vibrant strokes and intricate designs. It felt surreal. The boy she had laughed at was now an artist, alive and expressive. She asked, her voice barely above a whisper, astonishment flooding her. "I come here to paint," Oliver said, his voice steady and strong, a stark contrast to the boy she had known. Mia felt something shift inside her, the urgency of their past interactions colliding with the vibrant life before her. "I didn't know you could do this," she admitted, stepping closer, captivated by his passion. He caught her gaze, and for the first time she noticed the depth of his eyes. "Most people don't," he replied, glancing back at the canvas. In that moment, the weight of her previous laughter crashed over her, the guilt unfurling with every flick of his brush. Suddenly, Oliver wasn't just the awkward boy with thick glasses. He was visible. He was holding vibrant pieces of who he truly was. The words slipped out before she could think. Oliver turned to her, surprise dancing across his features. "Really? Of course." Mia felt a jolt of enthusiasm, a burgeoning friendship taking root amidst the colors and canvases. So began their evenings together at the community center. The two of them poured themselves into the creative process, mixing paints, laughter, and stories. Mia learned about art, and Oliver learned about friendship, true friendship, in all its messy, beautiful complexity. As days turned into evenings, their mural took shape, a vibrant tapestry filled with colors that sang stories of magic and adventure. They discovered how to lean on one another, to create without judgment. This artistic alliance slowly peeled away the layers of hurt and judgment that had once surrounded them. But just as the summer sun began to set, a dark cloud loomed over Mia's heart. What would happen when school resumed? Could she carry this newfound friendship into a world filled with judgment and mockery? One evening, bathed in the golden glow of sunset, Mia gathered her courage and threw out an idea. "Let's have an exhibition. We should showcase your art." Oliver's face twisted with apprehension. The doubt lingered in his voice, heavy and real. "They won't," Mia insisted, her heart racing as she rallied her confidence. "This is about you." After a moment, a smile broke through Oliver's uncertainty. So they worked tirelessly, preparing everything for the big day. With excitement dancing in her chest, Mia reached out to friends and family, sharing flyers and posting on social media. Support poured in. People began to buzz with anticipation, eager to witness the transformation of the community center. Finally, the long-awaited day arrived. The air was electric with excitement as guests began to filter in. Mia watched with her heart racing, her stomach alive with hope. She glanced at Oliver, who stood nervously at the entrance, eyes darting between the visitors and their artwork. The moment people stepped into the center, gasps filled the air, punctuated by the radiant energy of the murals. Mia beamed, each compliment directed at Oliver, swirling like magic around them. This was his time to shine. One guest burst out, pointing to a mural depicting a dragon spiraling up into a dazzling sky. For each new visitor that appeared, Mia's heart swelled with pride. Laughter morphed from malicious to warm applause. Oliver absorbed the admiration like sunlight, and as guests approached him, Mia watched as the boy she once mocked transformed before her eyes. Then out of the corner of her eye, she spotted a familiar group of kids, the same ones who had once laughed at him. They approached slowly, eyes wide with curiosity. One of them exclaimed, staring at a vibrant depiction of a phoenix. "They're amazing," another added, eyes darting toward Oliver, who was standing off to the side, his expression a mixture of wonder and hesitation. One of them finally asked, grinning as if they hadn't seen the layers of their youth peeling away. Mia's heart pounded. Would they humiliate him? Would they revert back to their old ways? But instead, it felt different this time, a sincere desire to acknowledge the artist before them. Oliver stammered, finding his voice. As they gathered around him for photos, laughter filled the room. It was no longer mockery, it was celebration. This was acceptance in its purest form. Mia felt warmth radiate from the center of her being, washing over her like gentle waves on a shore. As the event continued to unfold, an ebb and flow enveloped them, allowing friendships to take shape in the heart of the community. Oliver became the focal point in a room filled with color and camaraderie. In the midst of it all, Mia stepped aside for a moment, reflecting on the transformative journey they had shared. She approached Oliver, love weaving through her voice. "This is incredible. I can't believe it," he responded, blinking in disbelief. "No." Then a realization dawned on her. The journey they had both taken transformed them in ways they never expected. Oliver was revealing a part of himself she had never seen, and in turn, she was discovering the true meaning of friendship and acceptance. As the sun began to dip lower, casting warm colors across the walls, Mia stood next to Oliver in front of their mural, the colors shimmering under the fading light. "You are an artist, Oliver." Tears glistened in his eyes. "I never thought I could be visible like this." And in that moment of clarity, they shared a quiet smile, understanding that they had cracked open a door to authenticity, not just for themselves, but for everyone around them. No longer defined by laughter or ridicule, they had found friendship in the paint-stained walls that connected them. As the night wore on, the echoes of laughter blended seamlessly with stories of triumph and transformation. They stood together amidst their masterpieces, embodied by signature colors where every stroke told a story, a journey from judgment to acceptance. With sky-high aspirations and a newfound sense of self, Oliver emerged not just as a boy with glasses, but as a talented artist whose walls would carry whispers of hope for years to come. In that moment, surrounded by creativity and connection, they both knew the power that art had to heal. They had painted a vibrant future, one where laughter, creativity, and acceptance could beautify even the darkest corners of their youthful lives. And in the heart of their community, a newfound light shone brightly, a testament to resilience and the beauty of becoming truly seen. The school bell rang, its sharp tone slicing through the laughter and chatter of the bustling hallways. Mia stood with her friends near their lockers, hair cascading over her shoulders like a curtain of sunshine. She scanned the crowd for her usual victims, but her gaze landed on him, Oliver, the boy with the oversized glasses and an eternal shyness that draped around him like a damp cloak. Mia said, a laugh bubbling up in her throat. "It's like he stepped out of a comic book." Meanwhile, Oliver sat hunched over a few stray fries from lunch lying untouched beside him, his face buried in a thick novel. The laughter rang through the hall, echoing off the walls. But for Oliver, it felt like a weight tightening around his chest, squeezing the breath from him. He glanced up, and for a brief moment their eyes locked, everything around them fading away. Mia felt a flicker of something in his gaze, but she brushed it aside, laughing along as she usually did. After all, he was just the awkward kid, wasn't he? Deep down, though, a nagging voice whispered in her thoughts. The days drifted by, filled with the rhythm of classes and the constant hum of youthful energy. Each time she saw Oliver, the lingering guilt nagged at her. His quiet presence seemed to serve as a backdrop to her laughter, as if the world needed him to be there just for her amusement. But as Oliver continued to slip through the cracks of their social landscape unnoticed, the whispers of doubt in Mia's mind grew louder. Then one Saturday afternoon, something unexpected happened. Mia was riding her bike through the quieter streets of their neighborhood when she stumbled upon the old community center. It had been closed for years, but today, vibrant colors spilled out from inside, pulling her in like a moth to a flame. As she pushed the creaky door open, the smell of fresh paint washed over her, the air thick with creativity. Inside, the stark walls were covered in dazzling murals, each one pulsating with life. Whatever dreariness the building had once held was replaced by an explosion of color and expression from enthusiastic artists nearby. And then, in the middle of the chaos, she spotted him. Oliver, he was standing there, paint splattering his clothes, a fierce look of concentration on his face as he added the final touches to a massive mural. The transformation was stunning. He was no longer the shy boy in the corner. Here, he was a creator, alive and vibrant, immersed in his passion. She asked, disbelief washing over her. It felt strange to see him in this new light, far removed from the boy she had often ridiculed. "I come here to paint," he said, his voice steady as he glanced up with a brightness she hadn't seen before. Mia felt the walls of her previous judgments begin to crumble. "I didn't know you could paint like this." His eyes, once clouded with uncertainty, lit up. "This is me." His vulnerability struck her like lightning. In that moment, she realized the gravity of her past actions. The conversation broke through years of invisible barriers as they shared ideas about art and life. Mia felt drawn in, captivated by Oliver's passion. With the simple act of painting, he had revealed a piece of himself that had remained hidden even from her. She suggested, the words tumbling out before she could filter them. His surprise was palpable, and Mia couldn't help but smile. Yes. As the weeks unfolded, Mia found herself spending evenings at the community center, trading laughter and stories with Oliver. They mixed colors and learned from each other, their canvases transforming into breathtaking stories. Each splatter of paint told not just Oliver's narrative, but also her own layer upon layer of understanding, empathy, and connection, flaking away the paint that once bound them into isolation. But even as the world around them flourished in color, a shadow loomed over Mia's heart. What would happen when school began again? Would she fall back into old patterns, laughing along with her friends at Oliver's expense? The mere thought sent a chilling shiver down her spine, haunting her even in their joyful moments together. One fateful weeknight, after a long session of painting, she sat beside him on the floor, absorbed in muted colors and half-closed brushes. She blurted out, excitement bubbling inside her. "We could showcase your work." Oliver looked unsure, doubt creeping into his expression. "But what if they laugh?" she shot back, her heart racing. He hesitated, glancing down at his paint-stained fingers, but the spark of hope flickered in his eyes. Okay. With that decision, they poured their energy into preparations. Mia spread the word at school, plastering vibrant posters along hallways, sharing snippets of their art on social media, and inviting friends and community members alike. Each day that passed turned into an exhilarating countdown, a countdown to Oliver's moment under the spotlight. The day of the exhibition arrived, and the community center buzzed with anticipation. Mia felt a mix of nerves and excitement tighten her stomach as guests began to trickle in. Her eyes darted to Oliver, who stood nervously at the entrance, an anxious expression washing over his face. As the crowd filtered through the gallery of murals, Mia felt a warmth bloom in her chest. Shouts of delight rang out. People were genuinely admiring Oliver's art. Someone exclaimed, pointing toward a mural depicting a phoenix rising triumphantly from the ashes. Mia's heart soared. She'd never felt this kind of pride before. All those fears, those shadows from before, seemed to fade away. She watched as people engaged with Oliver, their curiosity glowing like fireflies. Then came the moment that felt like magic. A group of students she recognized, those who once snickered at Oliver, stood before one of his paintings, eyes wide with admiration. "This is incredible," one of them asked. Before Mia could process it, another classmate turned, excitement bubbling in the air. Oliver blinked, surprise washing over his face. "Yeah, that's mine," he replied softly, but something about his demeanor shifted. This was no longer the shy boy shying away from the spotlight. He was stepping into it. Their eyes lit up, genuine surprise rippling through the group. They asked, grinning like children caught in a moment of wonder. Mia felt her heart skip a beat, a mix of fear and exhilaration threading together. Would they mock him again? Would all their laughter surge back? But as Oliver stood there, a smile breaking across his face, she felt something shift in the air. They were taking him seriously. He stammered, beams of joy illuminating his features like the sun breaking through clouds. Moments later, he stood there with them, a genuine smile plastered on his face, laughter dancing through the air this time. It was free from judgment. Mia couldn't believe it. This was a moment of liberation, a wave of acceptance washing over them all. As the night rolled on, laughter mingled with conversations celebrating creativity, and Mia felt the final barriers collapsing. The laughter she had once wielded as a weapon turned into a bond, knitting their experiences closer together. But beneath that joy, a darker question hung heavily in the air. As the evening wound down and guests began to disperse, Mia noticed the tension surrounding Oliver. He stood silently, watching the departing crowd, uncertainty twisting his expression. She asked, moving closer. His voice trembled slightly. Mia encouraged, the pride swelling in her chest. "You're not invisible." But even as she spoke those words, a small part of her felt the weight of past judgments crashing back down. What if when they returned to school, those same students who admired him now retracted their acceptance? What if they turned back into bully stools of mockery the moment they stepped into a familiar hall? Oliver turned to her, vulnerability etched in his features. I don't know," Mia admitted, a knot tightening in her stomach, "but today." They stood together in the fading glow of the community center, their shared joy punctuated by that gnawing uncertainty. Oliver had stepped into a new light, but could it survive the shadows of tomorrow? Just then, a familiar voice called out from behind them, breaking through the lingering tension like glass shattering. Mia's heart dropped. It was Jess. In that moment, everything froze. The reassurance that had glimmered in Mia's chest flickered like a candle caught in a gust of wind. She breathed, turning to Oliver, who looked as if his entire world had just crashed down. "We were just messing with you, man, you and your art." Oliver's face paled, shattered expressions mingling with disbelief. As laughter echoed in the room, the very laughter that had once cheerfully decorated Oliver's transformation now felt like daggers piercing through the air, chilling every molecule in the room. Mia's heart raced, the weight of betrayal settling heavily on her chest. Would this moment turn into another memory of ridicule? Would laughter, once shared and cherished, shatter into something cruel, something that made Oliver retreat once again? But just as the reality of the moment began to settle, Oliver stood tall, his silence broken only by the strength of his resolve. "You can't take this away from me," he responded, a fire igniting behind his usually soft-spoken demeanor. Mia watched as he took a deep breath, feeling the tension thrum through the air and realizing that this was no longer about her insecurities or the laughter that once defined their lives. This was about Oliver, his expression, his power, and his right to be proud. As the room pulsed with a mixture of past narratives and new beginnings, Mia stepped forward, feeling the compulsion to stand by him. But what she didn't realize was that she would soon be thrust into a battle, not only to defend Oliver, but to redefine their friendship and face the ghosts of her past. all while staring down the barrel of judgment and the raw pain of rejection. And in that moment, the canvas of their lives remained blank, suspended between laughter and acceptance, scrutiny and celebration, leaving questions of identity, courage, and the power of voice swirling in the air like the colors they had mixed together. Would laughter ultimately unite or divide? Would Oliver bask in his newfound spotlight or disappear into the shadows once more? The story was just beginning to unfold, the colors still yet to be painted with strokes of bravery and connections waiting to be forged. And as the night deepened, the journey for both Mia and Oliver lay ahead, a multitude of twists and turns along their path to self-discovery.